So hello to you all. Thank you for joining this webinar. I can see that we already have lots of people in the room, over 70 people. So sorry for this slight delay. You had some technical issues, but we are all ready to go now. So my name is Tiago Mendonça. I work for the State Technological Reform Agency of Portugal, which is a partner of the INVEST project. Thank you all for joining this webinar. So this marks the end of a journey initiated in January this year with the kickoff of the INVEST project, which is a consortium financed by the Digital Europe program with the aim of supporting member states implementing the Interoperable Europe Act. So over the last year, partners from 7 countries have built the foundations for implementing effective cross-border interoperable digital public services. So now, after all this time, it's time to share INVEST's concrete results and to jointly exploit these outputs for shaping a truly interoperable Europe. As such, the project partners will present the key findings and results of each of the project's work packages, which will be followed by a debate open to all participants. So without further ado, I'll give the floor to Antonis Stathis from the Greek Ministry of Digital Governance, who will give you an overview of the objectives and the methodology followed by INVEST. So Antonis, the floor is yours.
Okay, I would like to thank you all for your availability. I will share my screen. Please confirm that you are seeing the presentation.
Yes, it's okay.
I think this is a very important day for us because it's a great milestone. It's not the end, it's a new beginning, it's a new start. And I think this is the important message that we need to convey because although we were 7 member states being involved in INVEST, our intention was to involve as much as possible all member states and all stakeholders, and this is what we are going to present today, the results. And of course, your feedback is valuable, not only for INVEST project, but especially for the initiative. Perhaps you are aware from European Digital Infrastructure Consortium that has been set up, published by a European Commission on the 3rd of December, and it will work with interoperability. That is impact setting that many of you may be already aware. So let me give you, let's say, although I'm sure that most of you, you are already aware what we are talking about, I mean, the Interoperable Europe Act. So we will not spend a lot of time on this, considering that you, more or less, you deal with this topic, which is a very challenging topic. It is a new era for interoperability in Europe. So practically, the main targets, let's say, of the Interoperable Europe Act is to identify reusable interoperability solutions. Perhaps you already know that the Interoperable Europe board with collaboration from all member states and European Commission already have been published the first labeled Interoperable Europe solution. I think this is something very important. There is a European interoperability framework in progress that we need to do. And of course, we all go and follow the guidelines of the interoperability framework, that it seems that AI and other innovative solutions should be done. So in order to enhance innovation and strengthen interoperability, I think this is the first time that very clearly the Act talks about GovTech and interoperability regulatory sandbox. So, and that practically try to engage not only public administration, but only several actors, industry, startups, innovative companies, and all this stuff. And of course, something that is very, very important, and this is in the context of the impact setting, is the policy implementation support projects. So practically something that is very important and something that puzzles us a lot, and I think we will discuss it, how we are going to collaborate all together, what is the governance of this initiative, and of course already the Act foresees a very, very clear way of communicating and collaborating with national authorities, with the Interoperable Europe Board, the Permanent Working Group, other working groups that may be required, European Commission, and all the people that are being involved, GovTech actors that are being involved. And so this was a challenge for us to see the views of each one and see what would be the next phase in the implementation of the Act. Although I don't want to mention, a lot of things got achieved because we are more than 1 year that the Interoperable Europe Act is in effect, and we try to do. And something very, very important is the digital ready policy making that is also related with interoperability assessments and on all of these aspects. So I will not go further. We definitely have time to discuss it during this webinar while we were presenting the INVEST results. So what is INVEST, for those of you that you have not heard it, is INVEST because it's an investment for all Europe, not for a member state, not only for a country. Practically, it is the interoperability vision in Europe and the strategy and time plan. So our main purpose in this project was to be able to enhance interoperability, to be able to see how this can be done. The new tool that is the Interoperability Regulatory Sandbox, how this can be used, to see all the stakeholders and how they can collaborate and how they can do. And the target is to develop, let's say, the digital single market, or now, let's say, ensuring the sovereignty and all these visions that Europe already has, not only in the context of the Act, but also in the context of the Digital Decade policy program and all this stuff. And of course, digital skills is something that is very crucial on this issue. Skills related with interoperability. This is our focus. Of course, these are not the only digital skills that are required, but when it comes to interoperability, we pay a lot of attention. We already, because the collaboration didn't start from the Interoperable Europe Act, started many years ago with a lot of other regulations. So it's very important for us to identify synergies that we need to enhance, to exploit in order to have better results. And I think this is also an issue that the INVEST projects try to investigate, analyze, and see all the relevant actions that may be useful for the implementation of the Interoperable Europe Act. High standards, quality, communication for the visibility. For instance, what we do now, it's an invitation for comments, not only for the INVEST project, but also for impact-centric implementation, because for us, from the beginning, it's very, very important, the things that we are trying to promote and create and co-develop to be useful for all member states, if possible. So how we started? In the beginning, there was a discussion, okay, what is Interoperable Europe Act? How are we going to achieve this strategic plan, how we are going to do it? So what we did something simple. We got all the articles of the Interoperable Europe Act. We tried to analyze them and see where member states are being involved, and practically the actions are upon the member states, and where, of course, European Commission services have a major role on these articles. So, for instance, when it comes to interoperability assessments, this is something that all member states are obliged to do. So it's a member state driven, let's say. When it comes to the sharing and reuse of interoperability solution, this is something that also member state can contribute a lot. When it comes to the policy support project, that is multi-country project, it's something that member states should have the first role. And also when it comes to innovation measures, GovTech, again, member states and the industry and all of the stakeholders could contribute. And when it comes to the interoperability regulatory sandbox, we also need 3 at least member states in order to have an issue. But there are also many other important important things that are driven by European Commission services. For instance, the European Interoperability Framework. There is a lot of effort and an expert group by DigiDigit and the respective services that they are working on this, and of course this will be discussed also with the member states and of course to the whole community. The Interoperable Europe portal, I think we all have noticed that in the last year we have a great amendment and content amendment and structure amendment that may be very useful. The Interoperable Europe Academy, that is for training, the Interoperable Europe community that already started, and the way that this is going to work, and of course monitoring and evaluation. These are mainly more, let's say, driven by European Commission services. So INVEST project practically decided to focus more in the strategic plan on the member state collaboration. Of course, for completeness reasons, you may see in the deliverables a lot of information that and actions that are driven by European Commission, but of course this can be done. So the next important topic is, okay, who are the stakeholders? Who are we going to talk with, to deal with, to collaborate with? And it seems that, of course, European Commission institutions, members of the Interoperable Europe Board, we have, thanks to Digit support, a lot of collaboration with them. Intermediate results were presented, feedback was given, the permanent working group, the interoperability sandbox working group, of course, the national authorities that are responsible for interoperability, GovTech actors, and industry and civil society. So these are more or less, but we will have an analytical presentation of how was this approach to the people that we need to talk and the network that we needed to create and that we need for many purposes for the governance point of view. So initially, when we started, we had some workshop, we had a lot of interviews, and was to gather priorities. It was very important. Although 7 member states have their own priorities, we need to ensure that everything that we will propose, it will be useful for all member states. So practically, we had some workshops trying to gather information, gather priorities, gather needs for all this stuff. While we were working on this, we tried to present some intermediary results to get feedback. So we had surveys, we have workshops, we had many events like the one that we have today. And of course, we tried to disseminate the result. Of course, the official, let's say, is the collection of INVEST project in the Interoperable Europe portal, many social media, let's say, collaborations, announcements, and all this stuff. But something that is very important, when it comes to member states, we will see it during this presentation, any deliverable of INVEST project, upon request, can be shared with you in case that you want to drill down in more information about the work that INVEST project has done. So I don't want to spend any other time because I think we have much more interesting things to discuss. This is what we expect to see today. So the results about stakeholder engagement and collaboration, the strategic roadmap of the Interoperable Europe Act implementation, and of course, this is focused on member state collaboration, interoperability multi-country projects, synergy and policy alignments and recommendation, interoperability and GovTech solutions, implementation plan that we try now all to combine the needs, considering, of course, and the feasibility of the implementation. And what is very important is that all this work will be handed over in Impact EDIC. This is our vision. This is our, so that we can really go to the implementation, to move one step forward. And we would like to thank all the member states that for more than 2 years and supporting this initiative, and they have continuous and extensive support to the work that we do. I hope that you know what EDICs are. our European Digital Infrastructure Consortium. That practically means a consortium that focus on specific aspects of the Digital Decade Policy Program, and in the context of the impact SEDIC, we focus on interoperability and connected public administrations. So this is the very short introduction, and of course, any communication that we'd like to have, the impact SEDIC admin digital is the, let's say, the point that we can have further discussion and to answer any questions that may be needed after this webinar, of course. So this is as an introduction. I hope that I was very brief and want to.
That was great, Antonio. So thank you so much for your this great overview of the INVEST project. Just to add that, as mentioned, we will have a Q&A session after all the presentations. Either way, the chat is open, so if any of you want to write any comments or any questions in the chat of the webinar, we'll take them later in the Q&A session, okay? So let's move on to the next panel, where Marta and Lucas from NASC will share the main takeaways on the topic of stakeholders engagement and collaboration. So Marta, Lucas, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Tiago. I believe you can see the screen right now.
Yes, it's good.
And thank you, Antonios, for that comprehensive overview of the INVEST project earlier. Good morning, everyone. I am Łukasz Małecki, and joining me is my colleague Marta Kotlarska. We both represent NASC, the National Research Institute in Poland.
Good morning. As Łukasz said, we are here to talk about the human element of the digital transformation. Our job over the course of the INVEST project was to figure out how and who. Now, before we look into the data, take a moment and imagine what if we achieved truly seamless public services. Services that work across all 27 EU countries automatically, zero friction. The vision of an interoperable Europe is powerful. It means digitally frictionless mobility for every citizen. Think of a journey from, say, Lithuania to Italy, and where your data, your credentials just flow.
The word you just used, Marta, the flow, is critical, I think. Interoperability is not an option. It's non-negotiable structural prerequisite for a competitive European digital single market. This is the tangible mandate of the Interoperable Europe Act. We are not just facilitating data exchange. I think we are designing the common architectural framework. We are building the transversal governance structures and reusable components. And what would be the goal then? I believe a functionally unified Europe, a Europe where digital systems become invisible to the end user. We are talking about invisible borders for citizens. We are talking about a unified system offering proactive, automated services, regardless of which member state jurisdiction you are physically standing on.
Yeah, and it's about securing European economic competitiveness. We must unify the European market so that business is efficient and it's like avoiding of navigating within 27 different administrative ontologies. However, we have to be honest about the starting point. The Interoperable Europe Act was introduced over a year ago, but let's say what the experts said. The invest strategy is grounded in extensive consultations. As Antonis mentioned before, we have performed interviews. For our work package only, we have performed 67 in-depth interviews with 78 specialists from across 25 member states. And for other work packages, we were also performing interviews, so it was 75 in total, quite a huge number. And these interviews were featured opinions from a range of digital governance stakeholders across Europe. We were talking with national government officials, with the agency representatives, with technical experts, with local administration, with people representing GovTech, academia. And unfortunately, the feedback received from across 25 member states and also member state countries was unambiguous. Cross-border interoperability is still behind and slow. We must accelerate implementation to remain competitive as a continent.
Exactly. Legislation provides the mandate, but people provide the implementation. We are not just building solution here, we are building a mindset.
Legislation is just a PDF on a server. If the stakeholders, the directors, the IT architects, the public servants do not buy into it. We started with a simple premise. You cannot design a system for people without talking to them.
Yes, but before we share the results, we want to hear from you. We represent the voice of the ecosystem we studied, but you are the ecosystem right now.
We are launching a poll. On a screen, you can see a QR code right now. And we want to know from you, what is your biggest fear regarding Interoperable Europe Act? Please put there, like maybe it is, I don't know, the lack of the budget, technical complexity, cultural resistance, legal unclarity, maybe something else. You will have like 45 seconds, and we would like to request all of you to vote. While you are voting, let me share what the 79 experts told us during our research. They were honest, sometimes painfully honest. They told us that technical interoperability is solvable. We have the technology. The real problems is systematic friction.
Okay, Marta, I can see the results are coming in. That actually, I think, matches our data perfectly. I will share it with you in a moment. Okay, I will have to do it that way. Please have a look. Okay, 7 participants typing still. So I hope. Oh,
We will still wait for the results, but we can see legal unclarity as the biggest factor, lack of trust, hackers, so the cybersecurity threats, yes, unpredictability, lack of standards, mid-level municipal managers.
I like this one, dislike of EU regulations.
Political mandate, that we don't have the same approach, how to approach open source solutions, not focused on user needs. We will be waiting a little bit more, still 25 people writing.
Just join Slido again.
Fragmented software, fragmented framework. Nie widać wszystkich odpowiedzi. Somebody needs to coordinate. We will talk about that a lot. Funds. Complexity of implementation.
Yes, we'll be talking about it later.
Interesting that most people still have this legal unclarity. Simplification of procedures. We will talk about that.
Lack of trust.
Lack of trust, yes. Two people still writing, so we will wait for them. We will keep the slide open so we can show the results at the end of our presentation. And so please still participate. I hope everyone was able to scan the code and
Okay. Through our research and looking at these results, we identified 5 major barriers, but I want to spend some time on psychology behind them, focusing on the one that usually gets ignored because it's uncomfortable to talk about.
Let's look at first 2 layers: legal fragmentation and organizational inertia. Legal fragmentation is obvious. It was also there on the slide though. Conflicting national laws, but organizational inertia. That is where the real struggle lies. The expert told us clearly, the core impediment aren't technical defects. They are governance failures rooted in a flawed thinking on the implementation level.
That kind of thinking, we call this the public servant mindset. This mindset is characterized by an aversion to risk. From one point of view, it's understandable, I think. If you do nothing, you won't get fired, yes? But this fear of failure kills experimentation and stifles complex projects. Many public servants simply view interoperability as yet another task to avoid, rather than a solution that will reduce their workload over time. This reluctance is not greatest barrier to innovation, yes.
To illustrate this, Łukasz, you have brought some examples from our own background, correct?
Yes, I have some really examples. I wanted to provide here some authentic, unvarnished explanation from public organizations gathered from the grant application submitted to the IT Architecture Council in Poland. These aren't made up. People actually wrote this in official documents. These examples illustrate the exact problems in the public domain mindset we faced Europe-wide.
Let's hear the first one.
All right, so the example 1. The project is vital for our ministry. If we do not receive these funds, we will not be able to solve an important problem for the state. This is a person focusing on funding urgency, not strategic alignment. We see this everywhere. Give me the money now and the sky falls, yes? But there is no plan for how it connects to Europe. It is crisis management, not architecture.
And the next one?
No, this one is classic, I think. The aim of Project A is essentially to purchase hardware. The person is here confusing simple technology acquisition with digital transformation. buying laptops is not interoperability. We've all seen that one, right?
It clearly shows lack of architecture thinking across the, organizations.
Yes, exactly. Like the third person who wrote, first, we need to build the system and then to connect it with others. Let's agree. This is a clear architecture failure. Building silos first, connecting later. That is exactly why we are in this mess to begin with. You cannot retrofit interoperability into a closed box without enormous cost.
And your favorite one?
Yes, we talked about it before, but this is my favorite. As soon as we sign the grant agreement, we will think about this maintenance plan. This really exposes the total lack of long-term operational planning. It treats a digital service like a building construction project. Once it builds, you walk away. But actually, digital services are living things. They need constant care.
Does this example sounded similar to you in the audience? These comments confirm our challenge. The problem is systematic. But to fix the system, you first have to map the people living inside it. You cannot govern without understanding whom you're going to govern.
Precisely. That is why our analysis didn't just stop at these barriers. We performed a rigorous stakeholder mapping. We identified 7 critical stakeholders categories within the ecosystem. Each category has distinct needs, and if we ignore them, the system fails.
Let's walk, Łukasz, our audience through them. Who are the key players we need to align?
Okay. First, we have the national authorities and coordinators. These are the national competent authorities, governance, and single points of contact. They are the implementers, and their primary needs revolve around compliance, resource acquisition, and system coherence. They told us clearly, we need mandatory legal frameworks with clearly written rights and obligations. Cooperation does not thrive on recommendations alone. They need the mandate to enforce it, to deliver to the digital single market.
And we have the second group, national platforms and infrastructures, or people are not organizations responsible for national platforms and infrastructures. These are, we may say, technical backbones of the member states. Their priority, obviously, is a digital sovereignty, and they also want to avoid vendor lock and actively promote open standards. They emphasize the need for coherence and scalability. For them, the critical need is to agree upon the level of trust. Trust, which means knowing exactly what data, when, and who can be provided with.
The third group is what we call the architects, European institutions and standard bodies. They define a legal foundation and the strategic direction. Their role is to guide interoperability efforts to reflect current realities, clarifying the difference between national and trans-European interoperability. They are the drivers of semantic governance, developing the core vocabularies to ensure semantic alignment across diverse legal systems and languages.
And of course, we cannot forget the market. Industry vendors, starting from big tech to the small, medium enterprises and even smaller startups. Their language is different. They prioritize economic efficiency and obviously profits. And their main expectation, it's the input from our evidence is that they want a guaranteed mechanism for the informed policy rather than being, that they want the EU market with administrative, less administrative burden and being able to compete on the open EU market.
And group 5 is academia and research. These are our knowledge partners. They focus on deep analysis like cybersecurity, data governance, organizational design. What would be their main expectation then? That the evidence-based input is guaranteed a mechanism to inform policy rather than being dismissed as too abstract.
The sixth group is somehow the most important one. These are the ultimate recipients, civil society, citizens, and residents of European Union. They value trust, they value transparency, they value fairness. Somehow they very much value the European set of basic rights. And the somehow key insight here is this cultural interoperability. So a kind of respect. And it shows us that we must design solutions that respect these differences in the culture, beliefs, religion. They also require to secure a trust fabric to, for example, guarantee that their privacy is being protected, that the usage of data is being lawful, that it's not being used to, for example, control them or something like that.
And finally, group 7, trust and identity stakeholders. This could be data protection authorities and eID providers. They are the guardians, I think. Their expectations focus on achieving legal certainty and clear compliance requirements. They are vital to guarantee the trustworthiness of the entire interoperability ecosystem.
Identifying the stakeholders group was the step 1. But effective mapping extends beyond just listening to the names. We have applied advanced stakeholder assessment. We looked into the 3 critical factors. What is the organizational maturity? What is the willingness to participate and motivation? And what is the level of domain knowledge? Could you guide us, Łukasz?
Yes, this analysis of needs and maturity feeds directly into the solution. We realized that to manage these 7 diverse groups, we needed a robust structure. The INVEST project proposes a specific governance model mandated by the Interoperable Europe Act. The dilemma we faced was, how do you apply this rigid legal framework to such diverse stakeholders? Our solution is multi-level and adaptive collaboration model. We call this model as firm spine, agile limbs.
This model formalizes cooperation. It replaces informal chats with clear rules. At the center, we have the Interoperable Europe Board. The board obviously holds the legal mandate, alongside the Commission to drive the development of the cross-border interoperability. It composes of representatives of each member states. They adopt the annual Interoperable Europe Agenda, which coordinates priorities and support measures.
But a board is just a room of people. We need mechanisms. The governance approach uses several mandatory tools to enforce and enable interoperability. The most critical one is the interoperability assessment. This is a fundamental governance mechanism. It requires EU entities to discover barriers early in the policy-making process. You cannot wait until the law is passed to think about IT. The outcomes must be published and shared with the board for analysis.
And of course, in the Act, technically, we also have Interoperable Europe solutions. These are reference architectures and source code that are formally recommended by the board and carry a specific level. It is a seal of quality for the member states to reuse solution with the confidence. The firm spine is the central governance, the board, the legal definitions, the security protocols. This is kind of fixed. But there are also something which we call agile limbs. And this is where implementation, real implementation happens. Here is where we tailor the governance to the groups which we have mapped earlier.
And for the national authorities, our implementers, we suggest a federated core model. Strategy and compliance are set centrally, but delivery decisions remain close to operational teams. We use discipline tools like RACI matrices to avoid bureaucracy.
For the national platforms, we were thinking about using a hybrid model. This emphasizes shared ownership. We cannot have centralization of control over data. We propose platformization criteria, conformance tests that help local pilots transform into sustainable platforms.
For the trust and identity stakeholders, governance is about formal oversight. DPAs and cyber security agencies are integrated into the architecture, often maintaining observer status on the board.
And for the civil society, citizens and residents, governance prioritizes transparency. We move forward towards co-creation models using feedback loops, like you said we did, to ensure accountability.
This comprehensive approach ensures that while the core legal framework is strict, we have the flexibility to let local initiatives scale. But how do we know if this works? We didn't just guess. We validated this model through strategic validation via participatory workshops.
Yes, we conducted foresight workshops titled 50 years from now in an interoperable Europe. We ran them in 5 capitals with different stakeholder groups. So in Warsaw, these were the national and local authorities, or people working in national and local authorities. In Helsinki, it was done with the collaboration of the Ministry of Finances of Finland, and these were members of different working groups working on various EU projects, digitalization projects. In Lisbon, we have run it within the Once Only Technical System framework and meetup. In Vilnius, we have run 2 workshops. One was with the Nordic, Baltic plus Ukraine GovTech collaboration representatives, the group representatives, and so country coordinators, and another one was with the GovTech community. And then finally in Brussels, we went towards academia and we ran the workshop in a framework of the AI and robotics conference. So we had a lot of researchers working towards, different innovative solutions. These were not standard meetings. These were high intensity foresight exercises designed to validate our collaboration scheme.
Mm-hmm. What were the key findings from these workshops? Could you say a few words about them?
Yeah, the first, we identify something called dystopian default. When we asked participants to build these future scenarios, there was a very consistent tendency to generate narratives rooted in pessimism. They were about systematic collapse, about the control, somehow technological totalitarianism. Now you may think that this is a failure. In our opinion, it is not. It's about strategic necessity. These negative scenarios acted as traps to avoid. They expose, and as I'm saying, the workshops were for the professionals working in this somehow public digitalization sector or digitalization sector, but they still exposed hidden fears about, I don't know, data misuse and emotional distrust towards technology. This allowed us to design governance mechanisms specifically to prevent these threats.
And the second finding?
The validation of co-creation. Participants rated the workshops really highly. We asked them for the honest feedback, and this was like 4 and 3 up to 5. And what they wrote in the evaluation ankeets was that they especially were valuing creative thinking and ability of stepping out of the daily silos and collaborate with each other. And the most importantly, at some part of the workshop, they also engaged in a policy transposition. This was a critical phase where participants shifted from like designing the fiction towards reality. They translated by themselves their narratives, insights into accountable governance requirements. They determined what policies are needed today to mitigate the future threats.
Mm-hmm. And what did they demand during this transposition?
Well, it was clearly heard that they demand practicality. Stakeholders' feedback consistently requested that future engagement focuses on more concrete topics. They want to talk about cybersecurity, target architectures, concrete GovTech solutions. They don't want abstract visions anymore. They want the how.
And this validates our focus on the Interoperable Europe solutions and the implementation support projects. The stakeholders are ready to build, but they need the tools. So to summarize the INVEST findings, first, We have mapped the ecosystem into 7 critical categories, understanding very specific needs from compliance to cultural interoperability. Second, we have defined a governance model anchored by the Interoperable Europe Act, utilizing a firm spine, agile limbs approach to balance legal mandates with operational flexibility. And the third, we have validated this approach through foresight workshops, confirming that stakeholders need practical, protective governance to overcome the dystopian default fears.
The governance model is the engine of interoperability, built to address the human and systematic realities. But the engine needs a map to know where it is going.
Exactly. Interoperability is one-way road towards deeper integration. In the next session, our colleague Amalia Andria from the Greek Ministry will present the strategic roadmap, the timeline and the steps for the actual implementation of the Act.
We would like to extend our sincere thanks to all our invest partners for their contributions, hard work, and truly incredible collaboration. Łukasz, could you share the slide results maybe?
Yes, we
at this point?
we can have a look if something is changed. All right. No, poll is still active. So. Okay, so 38 votes. All right.
Thank you very much for your time. We will be happy to answer all your questions during the open discussion later.
Thank you.
Thank you, Martin and Lucas, for these very interesting insights. We already have some questions in the chat, and we'll take them on later in this webinar. So, as you said, we'll move on with Amalia Andria from the Greek Ministry of Digital Governance, who will detail the roadmap that was developed for supporting the Interoperable Europe Act implementation. So, Amalia, you can proceed.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining today. Can you see my screen?
It's good.
Okay, thanks. So, my name is Amalia Andria, working at the Ministry of Digital Governance in Greece. And today I will present the strategic roadmap, which is a core part of deliverable 3.1 of INVEST project, and outlines the main actions and enablers needed for coordinated implementation across member states. The Interoperable Europe Act represents a major shift in the way public administrations collaborate and design digital public services. This roadmap matters now because, first, the Interoperable Europe Act introduces mandatory obligations for interoperability. Second, member states need a coordinated and strategic approach to avoid fragmented implementation. And finally, delivering cross-border citizen-centric services require shared standards, shared assets, and shared governance. This roadmap provides exactly that, a structure and a forward-looking plan that makes the Interoperable Europe Act actionable. On this slide, you can see a concise overview of what Deliverable 3.1 provides. The following points summarize the key outputs of the work. First, the deliverable offers a strategic roadmap for implementing the Interoperable Europe Act across the EU member states. This gives a coherent, step-by-step framework for how countries can operationalize the requirements of the Act. Second, it presents a structured governance model that enables consistent and transparent decision-making. This model clarifies roles, responsibilities, and coordination mechanisms at both national and EU levels. Third, the slide highlights a set of KPIs. These are indicators designed to monitor progress and measure performance throughout the implementation process. Fourth, the deliverable includes a prioritized set of interoperability actions, which also covers reuse pathways and innovation measures. This helps member states focus on what will deliver the highest impact. And finally, it provides a foundation for cross-border collaboration through impact sharing. This ensures that implementation does not happen in isolation, but instead builds on shared European capabilities and cooperation. Together, these 5 elements summarize the core value and practical contribution of Deliverable 3.1. On this slide, you can see how we've structured the methodology behind the roadmap and the specific role of the INVEST project. At the top, we highlight INVEST's role as a bridge between member states, the Commission, and the Interoperable Europe Board. INVEST supports the implementation of the Act by facilitating stakeholder engagement and mapping current and emerging interoperability needs, and delivering the strategic roadmap and accompanying support measures. The lower part of the slide summarizes our multi-phased evidence-based approach. We started with desk research, reviewing EU and national policies, existing interoperability solutions and initiatives. We then carried out extensive engagement activities, an open date, and a series of thematic webinars with at least 63 participants from 20 member states, more than 75 semi-structured interviews with stakeholders from public sector, business, startups, and academia, and workshops that use foresight techniques to explore future scenarios for interoperability. These activities were complemented by online surveys and questionnaires targeting members of the Interoperable Europe Board, its permanent working group, GovTech actors, and the INVEST Members Council. All this input is brought together in a strategic analysis phase where we consolidated findings, prioritize needs and actions, and then draft and validate the roadmap with key governance bodies. Finally, we recommend that the roadmap is reviewed and evaluated annually by the Interoperable Europe Board and the Assembly of Impact EDIC Consortium to keep it aligned with technological and policy developments. This slide summarizes how the roadmap is structured inside the deliverable. It is built on strategic goals, implementation phases, 7 thematic work streams, 7 multi-country projects, and detailed annexes covering articles 4, 6 to 13, and 20. For presentation clarity, we summarize this complex content into 5 pillars, which I will explain next. So the strategic roadmap is organized into 5 major pillars that work together to operationalize the Interoperable Europe Act. We have governance and coordination, standards, frameworks, and semantic alignment, the Interoperable Europe portal, training, skills, and certification, monitoring, and KPIs. These 5 pillars structure the implementation actions and will guide member states through the deployment of interoperable services. The first pillar is governance. the backbone of Interoperable Europe Act implementation. This includes setting up formal governance bodies, establishing decision-making processes, ensuring member state participation, and coordinating between national and EU-level institutions. Strong governance ensures that implementation is consistent, that responsibilities are clear, and that decisions are validated and followed across all member states. The second pillar focuses on semantic and technical alignment. This means developing and adopting AIF-aligned semantic models, creating common data vocabularies, and ensuring interoperability by design across policies, platforms, and services. Semantic alignment is crucial. Without shared meaning, cross-border interoperability cannot work, even if the systems are technically connected. The third pillar is the Interoperable Europe portal, which plays a central role as the online hub for interoperability resources. This includes providing high-quality content, such as best practices, success stories, use cases, tools, and expert interviews. It will also support communities of practice and provide mechanisms for member states to contribute knowledge and assets. The portal becomes the shared reference point for implementing the Act. The fourth pillar addresses capacity building. To implement the Interoperable Europe Act effectively, we need a trained public administration with the right skills in interoperability, semantic modeling, standards, and open source adoption. This includes large-scale training programs, modular learning pathways, and certification schemes that recognize competencies and promote professional growth across the EU public sector. And the last and fifth pillar ensures accountability. We define KPIs across several dimensions: governance, semantic and standards development, portal content and community engagement, training and capacity building, reuse of solutions, and overall implementation performance. These indicators help track progress and allow continuous evaluation and improvement of the roadmap. So next, let's look at the working streams of Impact CEDIC and how they connect with multi-country projects. The work streams serve as the implementation backbone of the roadmap, aligning strategic goals, roadmap pillars, and policy support tools into practical actions that can be jointly delivered by member states through Impact CEDIC. These work streams will be fine-tuned based on the input and recommendations coming from the INVEST project. So workstream 1 focuses on the European Transborder Information Architecture, including aspects like mobile access. The working stream idea is to create an architectural model for transborder state information and disseminate this in the EU administration. Working stream 2 delivers a data analytics platform that will support public administrations and help monitor obligations coming from other EU initiatives, including Digital Decade Policy Program, Interoperable Europe Act, and SDGR. The platform will collect and aggregate reporting and statistical data from public administration systems across member states, focusing on, of course, on cross-border data. Workstream 3 develops the co-creation platform for cross-border public services and integrates national innovations such as AI. Through this platform, it will be develop the framework and tools so that stakeholders from different member states can better collaborate to design, implement, and test new cross-border public services. Workstream 4 sets up the interoperability regulatory sandbox, allowing member states to test specific use cases with regulators. In the context of INVEST project, we identified 5 use cases projects to be developed inside the sandbox of Impact CEDIC, including business wallet, tax, and health-related issues. Workstream 5 covers the new EIDAS regulation and the European Digital Identity Wallet, with technical work on relying parties and electronic attestation providers. It aims to facilitate the connection of the public services to the EIDAS ecosystem. Workstream 6 builds the secure and interoperable cross-border network for data exchange, including reusable components such as e-delivery. This network will be easily reused in different sectors in the future and will be flexible enough to cover the different needs that exist. And finally, Workstream 7 focuses on zero-distance public administration, introducing modern omni-channel communication solutions through projects like IDERCOM, which was analyzed in the INVEST project. This workstream aims to introduce conversational technologies such as chatbots to improve communication between public administrations and citizens. Overall, these work streams translate the strategic groundwork of INVEST into concrete implementation actions that will support cross-border interoperability across Europe. A key principle of Interoperable Europe Act is reuse first. This slide highlights priority areas where member states are encouraged to adopt existing interoperability solutions, including open source tools, base registries and data exchange components, semantic assets, modular API frameworks, and governance toolkits. Reusing proven assets reduces cost, reduces risk, and ensures alignment across countries. Policy support measures help member states bridge the gap between legislation and implementation. These include guidance documents and implementation playbooks, conformance testing frameworks, and tools for regulatory alignment. They also include knowledge sharing mechanisms that ensure administrations can learn from each other and build on collective experience. So we said that, as we all know, interoperability regulatory sandboxes are another important key enabler. They provide a safe environment for experimenting with new technologies, testing regulatory issues in adopting, implementing interoperability solutions, and validating cross-border services without regulatory barriers. This accelerates innovation while ensuring compliance and reducing risk. Based on a dedicated webinar and exchanges with member states, 5 projects were identified as potential candidates for testing. Semantic data models, synergies between SDG OTS and EUDI wallet, cross-border healthcare, the European business wallet, and smart tax data exchange. The semantic data model sandbox addresses a key challenge in the digital transformation of European public administrations by ensuring that data exchange across borders and sectors is not only technically interoperable, but also semantically consistent. The SDG and EUDI wallet synergies project examines the interaction between the SDG OTS and the European Digital Identity Wallet, focusing on how these frameworks can complement and reinforce each other. The cross-border healthcare sandbox tackles existing technical, legal, and semantic barriers that limit broader adoption, noting that only a small number of member states currently support multiple cross-border healthcare services in live operational environments. The European Business Wallet represents an innovative digital identity solution introduced under the revised eIDAS-2 regulation with the aim of supporting secure and trusted business interactions across the EU. And finally, the Smart Tax Cross-Border Interoperability Sandbox seeks to enable the secure, accurate, and semantically interoperable exchange of tax-related data among EU member states. The Interoperable Europe community is at the heart of sustainable implementation. This includes mapping existing ecosystems, encouraging new communities and centers of excellence, promoting shared governance, and increasing contributions to the Interoperable Europe portal. KPIs here measure engagement, collaboration, and the quality of contributions. Strong community participation ensures long-term success and continuous innovation. To conclude, this strategic roadmap provides a structured and realistic pathway for implementing the Interoperable Europe Act. It connects policy objectives with concrete work streams, reusable solutions, and measurable KPIs, while fostering collaboration through impact edict and the Interoperable Europe community. It aims to turn interoperability from a regulatory requirement into a shared operational capability across Europe. Overall, it creates a strong foundation for a more connected, efficient, and interoperable European public sector. Thank you very much for your attention. As already mentioned, if you need more feedback regarding the deliverable, do not hesitate to contact us at the email you can see in this slide, impactedic@mindigital.gr, and we are happy to help you. Tiago, the floor is yours again. Thank you.
Thank you, Amalia, for this very detailed presentation. And we'll further explore the work that will be done by the Impact EDIC later on this webinar. So the next topic focuses on promoting policy alignment and synergies between ongoing existing initiatives, both at national and European level, and will be presented by Magdalena Morze from PIT in Poland. So Magdalena, are you here?
Hi. Yes, I'm here. Do you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, thank you very much. So again, I'm Magdalena Morze. My name is Magdalena Morze, and I'm from Poland, from Łukasiewicz Research Network, Poznań Institute of Technology. And I worked in this project together with my colleague Szymon Mamrot, who is unfortunately not present today. So I have the honor to present results of our deliverables. So during my presentation, I would like to talk about synergies between cross-border interoperability solutions. Okay. So that's the short agenda, short introduction, synergy landscape, stakeholder engagement, best practices, method for identifying and prioritizing synergies, policy recommendation, and benefits and conclusions. Across Europe, we are building a digital ecosystem made up of many EU and national initiatives that are increasingly connected. A lot of them are aiming for the same thing: data-driven, seamless cross-border public services. As a part of Invest project, we looked at where the initiatives actually complement each other and what policy changes are needed to make the most of this. If we understand the synergies well, we can avoid duplication, work, of course, more efficiently, and finally strengthen the digital single market. There are many digital initiatives underway across the EU, SDG with OOTS, EIDEA, and the future EU Digital Identity Wallet, sectoral systems and broader frameworks such as data spaces and the Artificial Intelligence Act. Each has own scope, but increasingly they are connected through common building blocks. And this is the moment where synergy comes in. We are combining efforts creates more value than working in isolation. In the INVEST project, we have grouped these synergies into 4 areas: semantic, technical, organizational, and legal. Understanding them helps to adapt implementation, reuse existing solutions, avoid duplication of effort, and support a more coherent digital transformation across Europe. And I will say a few words about each of these synergies. So semantic synergy basically involves ensuring that public sector data has the same meaning across Europe. It is not just about making data available, but about ensuring that it is understood in the same way across different countries, sectors, and levels of administration. The reuse of a basic ISA vocabularies plays an important role here. They contain common definitions of concepts such as persons, businesses, locations, and public services. When member states plug this into the once-only technical system under the single digital gateway, the evidence exchange across border is not only structured but also consistent in meaning. That really helps reduce confusion and makes services more reliable. We also already have solved sectoral systems such as EU carries for vehicles, IMREX for education, and EESSI for social security. These models can be reused with OOTS and other frameworks. That saves time and speeds up standardization. Semantic synergies reduce uncertainty, support automation, and are crucial for high-quality data sets that comply with the Artificial Intelligence Act. On the technical side, a lot of value comes from reuse. If we build on things like e-delivery, existing OOTS components, and sector infrastructures, we don't have to start from scratch, which clearly reduces development time and costs. At the same time, the EU e-wallet and the upcoming European Business Wallet can become a shared layer of trust and authentication that works across different domains. And what is also really promising is the AI angle. When AI is combined with structured data from OOTS-based registries and European data spaces, we can push automation much farther and make services more proactive and efficient. And finally, common European data spaces bring the right architecture for this: federated, secure, and scalable, so cross-border data exchange can grow without losing trust or control. On the organizational side, expert groups working on these initiatives are involved in harmonizing standards, governance rules, and implementation methods. Data space also provides stronger multi-stakeholders governance, allowing for coordination between the public sector, academia, and industry. Through cross-border cybersecurity governance, for example, through shared security means in hospitals, we are improving the resilience of critical services across Europe. From a legal and trust perspective, EIDEAS, the EU wallet, and the future European Business Wallet and OOTS come together to form a common base for secure cross-border data exchange. We are seeing the logic spread. We are seeing that this logic spread to other areas as well. The digital product passport is standardized product data. E-invoicing is promoting machine-readable formats that can be reused in financial processes. And more regulations ready for digitalization mean that new EU rules are being designed with automatic data exchange in mind, rather than the flow of paper documents. So, best practices. The Digital Omnibus package creates a more coherent, predictable, and innovational-friendly regulatory environment that improves the conditions for developing and increasing synergies between cross-border digital solutions, reduces fragmentation by improving and clarifying rules on AI, data protection, and platform governance, makes compliance easier, especially for businesses and public administrations, free up resources for interoperability projects, introduces common mechanism at EU level, for example, single point of contact for reporting incidents, and increases user trust through better clarity and more predictable governance. Since 2022, organized cooperation within the contact group has helped to harmonize technical and legal work on OOTS and EU DWallet. The wallet is currently being tested as an authentication option in OOTS processes, which improves user experience. The OOTS evidence view area can also issue certificates directly to the wallet. Importantly, users can combine evidence collected through OOTS with certificates stored in the wallet, which better reflects the cross-border cases. Now, more local best practices. Nordic digiGOV-Lab demonstrates how Nordic countries can collaborate on digital government in a practical and direct way. The lab is shared space for experimentation, knowledge exchange, and co-design of services. The collaboration focuses on 3 areas: human-centered governance, seamless AI-based services, and cross-border information exchange. A key advantage in this combination is showing the strengths of each country. Sweden's agile approach, citizen-centered services designed in Finland, and strong data architecture in Norway. The lab has also developed common principles for trustworthy artificial intelligence, including the Nordic AI Trust Model. Most importantly, it is piloting real cross-border services to live events such as death and succession to reduce administrative burdens on citizens and improve data exchange between authorities. The lab will operate until 2026, aims to expand its concepts, improve management models, and boost interoperability between the Nordic countries. We also participated in workshops, what was already mentioned, in Warsaw, Helsinki, and Brussels, which were attended by European, as colleagues said before, and national experts. A discussion focused on interoperability, cross-border procedures, trust in AI, and the transition to documents and data from documents. We also shared key information via the Interoperable Europe portal to ensure that policy analysis and communications reached a wide audience. What we heard was very clear. There is a strong demand for harmonized rules to make data reuse truly possible. Integration costs remained a major barrier, which is why EU funding and common components are crucial. One of the most common obstacles is the lack of semantic coherence. All stakeholders underlined the importance of human-centered design and clear and practical governance. So now about synergies identification. We have summarized the identification of synergies and how to set priorities. And we have summarized that in several steps. So, step 1, identification of initiatives. A map of relevant EU and national cross-border digital initiatives that could interact should be drawn up. Sectoral systems and horizontal enabling factors such as interoperability platforms, identity solutions, and data exchange infrastructure. Step 2, compare objectives to find areas of overlap and shared ambitions. This provides synergy based on a real common value and helps build a shared narrative for cooperation. Step 3, identify synergies. Analyze how initiatives can reinforce each other in 4 areas. I already explained them. So legal, semantic, technical, organizational. And the next 3 steps in next 3 slides. To check whether a synergy can really work, we look at 4 types of feasibility. First, legal feasibility. It has to fit with both EU and national law, with no regulatory blockers. Second, technical feasibility. We need existing interfaces, standard and compatible architecture that make integration realistic. Third, organizational feasibility. Stakeholders must be ready. Governance has to be in place, and operating models must be compatible with each other. And finally, financial feasibility. There should be a proper funding and a clear path for long-term sustainability. When we prioritize synergies, we focus on 4 main things. First, alignment with EU strategies. Does it clearly support the single market, the Interoperable Europe Act, and the Digital Decade goals? Second, user-centric impact. Will it make life easier for citizens, businesses, and public administration in real cross-border situations? Third, cost effectiveness. Can we save money and effort through reuse, automation, and by reducing fragmentation? And fourthly, urgency. Are there regulatory deadlines approaching? Is there a risk of increasing technical debt? Or are there strong or urgent users' needs that makes this synergy something we should address now? To fully get these benefits, we need to clearly define which synergies are worth implementing and how to identify, build, and maintain them over time. Our policy recommendations, therefore, fall into 2 contemporary groups. First, recommendation on areas where cooperation can deliver a real long-term value, specific areas and mechanisms that are ready to have a cross-border impact. Second, recommendation on how to work on synergies, focusing on governance, cooperation practices, strategic planning, and conditions that help different actors create value together. In this case, the message is quite straightforward. If we want true cross-border automation, we must move away from old document-based legal requirements. Legislation adapted to digital technologies must become the standard. For this work, we also need trusted identities and reliable resources, such as SDG, OOTS, EUDI wallet, and the Planet Business Wallet. These are the building blocks of secure and reliable automation. We are seeing the same changes in other areas. The digital product passport provides us with structured product data that can be reused across many sectors. E-invoicing and digital accounting create machine-readable streams of financial and compliance data that can support multiple processes at once. In all of this, one thing is certain: harmonized data formats. Without them, interoperability between sectors will simply not be possible on a large scale. Data data spaces provide us with secure, integrated environments for the cross-border exchange on high-quality data sets. The Artificial Intelligence Act, on the other hand, ensures that AI systems using this data comply with clear rules and transparency and risk management. However, for these solutions to really work, we also need strong semantic and technical coherence so that AI is based on consistent and trusted data. All of this together builds trust. Through clearly defined responsibilities, human control, and more unified governance of how AI and data are used. In areas such as health, justice, education, and public procurement, a clear trend can be seen. Sectoral initiatives are increasingly reusing horizontal building blocks. This includes OOTS, eDelivery, the EUDI portfolio, and the Planet European Business Portfolio. They also built a common grant, such as basic vocabularies, European data spaces, and broader interoperability frameworks. Importantly, this works both ways. Sectors not only reuse the components, but also help shape and validate them through real-world needs and use cases. The result is quite clear. More shared infrastructure, faster implementation, and more consistent user experiences across the European Union. How to work on synergies? Firstly, groups of experts from different initiatives should be brought together early on, best at the planning stage. Then that is when it is easier and cheapest to achieve consensus. Secondly, if synergy really matters, it should be directly reflected in EU and national legislation so that it can survive not only behind the individual projects. Thirdly, priorities should be set based on two things: feasibility and expected impact, not just what sounds good on paper. Fourthly, before scaling up, pilot projects and proof of concept should be used to demonstrate real value and test assumptions. And finally, multi-stakeholder engagement should be maintained over the long term. This helps to maintain consistency as technologies, policies, and needs evolutions. If we manage to exploit these synergies properly, the benefits will be quite obvious. We will be able to provide more consistent, scalable, and truly user-oriented public services. Reuse and automation will reduce the administration burden. Costs will also fall, as we will share components instead of creating the same solutions over and over again. At the same time, trust will increase when the legal and technical frameworks are consistent across all countries. Finally, all of this will strengthen the competition and resilience of the digital single market. So, in summary, Europe's digital transformation truly depends on building coherent synergies across all levels of interoperability. If we want cross-border services to work in reality, we need not only technical alignment, but also semantic, organizational, and legal alignment. And the main drivers are obvious: stronger policy alignment, shared infrastructure that we can reuse, and early collaboration between initiatives so that we design for synergy from the very beginning. Thank you very much. That's all from my side.
Thank you, Magdalena, for sharing these policy recommendations. I think they are of great value to focus our work and to maximize the joint efforts. So the last session before the open discussion will address the operational framework for deployment of interoperable solutions at European scale. And it will be presented by Charalampos Vasiliou from the Greek National Infrastructures for Research and Technology and by Balázs Goldschmidt from the Budapest University of Technology and Economics of Hungary. So, Charalampus, Balázs, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you very much. Can you confirm that you hear me correctly?
Yes, we hear you and
Okay.
you can see your screen. Yeah, you may proceed.
Okay, so I can share the presentation. You can see the slide or the notes as well?
Just a slide. It's okay.
Excellent. All right. So good afternoon from me as well. I'm Charalampus Vasiliou. I'm a member of GRNet, and this presentation is associated with the Interoperable GovTech solutions as part of the results stemming from the INVEST project. And of course, it's a collaborative effort by Irini, Gioni, and the whole team. So a big thanks to the whole team and the whole list of partners that participated on this. So the presentation is basically twofold. So it's going to present you two core aspects of INVEST project. The part about the interoperability solutions and the mapping that has been performed within the project, resulting to certain very interesting results and recommendations, as well as to the GovTech solutions aspects, which has been also another core element of the Interoperable Europe Act. So the overall project, as you already seen, has lasted for a year. It has been a very strategically important project for our ministry and also for the work that we're doing in several key areas. And of course, as it has already mentioned by Antonis, it paves the way towards the impact SEDEC. So in particular, Work Package 4 focused on two strategic elements. So we wanted to map existing interoperability solutions, to conduct basically to form a detailed inventory and analysis that would align current solutions with policy needs, identify gaps, et cetera, as well as the element of GovTech innovations, where we wanted to have a more comprehensive analysis of existing GovTech solutions, look into their technological integration, potential impact, scalability, with primary focus on public administrations. So on the first aspect, when we're talking about interoperability solutions, we wanted to basically identify initially and analyze existing interoperability solutions, assess their alignment, of course, with the Interoperable Europe Act, which was the key element behind this work, and of course, highlight the gaps that exist and provide this input as a key pillar for the overall strategic roadmap. And in order to do that, we have followed a research methodology, a very thorough research methodology that was in principle threefolded. So the first part was a very extensive systemic desk research based on official portals, for instance, the Interoperable Europe portal, the portal from EU-LISA, from DigiTaxud, and other, let's say, domain-specific portals, which overall resulted into 72 distinct interoperable solutions that have been cataloged. And then the other aspect was the member state level solutions, where we investigated national implementations and nationally developed solutions that had this cross-border element, this cross-border potential for examining central government portals, for instance, digital infrastructures or national strategic roadmaps. We have been quite ambitious, to be honest, also to distribute a survey that aimed to collect this information, the very latest information also, but unfortunately, we've received insufficient results and responses to be incorporated within this analysis. But nevertheless, we have cataloged a big list of these solutions, focusing on a cataloging framework which covered, on one hand, technical characteristics. So by that we mean, first of all, the category that we have been focusing on. We're talking about semantic interoperability or technical interoperability or legal aspects, and of course, building blocks or security elements and so forth. We wanted to see the maturity status behind these solutions. So are they currently in production? Are they under development? Are they in a design phase? Are they proof of concepts? So we wanted to see how actually deployable these solutions are and providing actually results as we speak. And then, of course, another important technical characteristics is the open source element, which means that they have been based on open source solutions. They are provided as open source code, which is, of course, a very critical factor for transparency as well as distribution behind these elements. Then, of course, we wanted to see a little bit about the operational context, where they are stemming from. Are they EU-based solutions? Are they national solutions with a cross-border dimension? What is the domain coverage? We had 13 domains from the general public services, from general public services all the way to tax and customs, for instance. What is the geographic sparsity, the coverage that we can see, countries involved in the implementation scope, and of course, one big aspect behind monitoring and analyzing the solutions is the amount of documentation provided. So what type and kind of documentation we had to go through this. So this resulted into an exhaustive and non-exhaustive catalog of around 72 identified solutions. These have been grouped into the list, as you can see here, and are provided as part of the deliverable. But looking into more of these details, we can see specific, let's say, facts that came out of this work. We have, first of all, around 42 solutions that are associated with semantic aspects versus 57, which are focusing more on technical elements. We had 6 solutions that focused around what is now known as the EU digital building blocks, the CEF building blocks, and then 25 solutions that focused on legal frameworks, 21 on organizational solutions, and around 8 of them that are focusing around the area of security. We have identified some specific examples out of this analysis that we consider them exemplary. We have, for instance, the OTS flagship for cross-border exchange of information. We have the DCAT AP, which is again focusing on semantic aspects. PEPL, which is the Pan-European Procurement Framework, and again, e-delivery for exchange of electronic data and documents between public organizations, public administrations, another core aspect for implementing also additional solutions such as the European Health Data Space. Other examples, of course, include the X-Road, which is the open source software and ecosystem solution originally developed by Estonia, that currently is being adopted by other countries as well. We had examples such as the Matrix, about an open source tool for decentralized communication protocol, and also Simple, which is the open source smart and secure middleware platform being promoted and developed by the EU in order to foster, among others, the data spaces, and it's a core element of the European data strategy. Of course, we've seen also best practices at different countries. We have seen also Portugal's Mosaico, which is an innovative digital platform developed by the Portuguese government to facilitate this data exchange and collaboration between basically the public and the private sector. The Luxembourg solutions called My Guichet, which is a digital platform developed by the government of Luxembourg in order to try and simplify these administrative procedures and improve the government service accessibility for citizens and businesses. And of course, the Matrix communication framework that I mentioned before. So we see some common factors here such as the open architecture, the promotion of open architecture, open coding, open solution, the security by design, and of course the ability to have scalable solutions, which in hand basically provide a clear value proposition behind this. So we didn't stop just there. We wanted also to go one step further and provide a scoring framework for these solutions. We have identified the key aspects of the Interoperable Europe Act, the key principles, in order to conclude this analysis, focusing on the cross-border readiness, the open source aspect, interoperability, governance, the co-creation capability, interoperability by design, and of course the legal interoperability, where we wanted to see solutions that directly mentioned in legislations or indirectly supporting, for instance, binding legal obligations. So all these aspects decoded from the Interoperable Europe Act have been used as the framework, the scoring framework for us. So actually, the results were quite surprising and quite impressive. I think we have seen a high overall compliance, around 40%, 29 of the solutions scored perfectly in 6 out of 6 of these scores principles. We have seen also very strong compliance, scoring 5 out of the 6 key principles for 37 of the solutions. So overall, we have seen a quite a strong or full alignment with the principles that I mentioned before. This means that we have what we consider a robust foundation to build the European interoperability ecosystem. But of course, we wanted to also provide certain recommendations of how to further improve that, or provide recommendations for future solutions in order to keep these elements in mind. So some key findings is that we have a very strong focus when we're talking about technical or semantic interoperability. This is like a key priority as far as it's seen so far. Of course, there is at the same time quite a high level of maturity, with around 75 of the solutions that are currently in production and operational. And of course, open source is a key element and a feature that has been adopted quite strongly by around 60% of the solutions. So this is quite encouraging in terms of sustainability, reusability, transparency, trust, and so forth. So again, another critical aspect there. And of course, the domain focus, which has been primarily the public administrations and certain aspects such as the tax and customs, procurement aspects, and so forth. We have seen finally some top performance on different categories. We have seen the application profiles when we're talking about semantic standards, the leaders for DCAT-AP, CPSV. On the technical infrastructure, we've seen OOTS, e-delivery, and EID as leaders in this, depending on the adaptability and adoption, basically, that we have seen in the different countries. And then, of course, finally, some flagship examples when we're talking about the PEPL, when we're talking about the newly formed health data EU for secondary use of health data in the European health data space. These are some top performance that we consider throughout this analysis. Finally, on the member state implementation side, we have seen a widespread of the digital infrastructure. More or less all of these 27 member states have established a centrally government website. Nevertheless, we have seen a little bit of a limited cross-border emphasis, with a very small number of those, such as Estonia, Finland, and Luxembourg, that provide currently solutions that explicitly identified the element of cross-border aspect. Then we looked into the building block adoption. We've seen that most of these member states are implementing EU-level building blocks, particularly when we're talking about the SDG, when we're talking about the IDAS. And then, of course, we have some kind of regional patterns emerging from the Nordic-Baltic region. When we focus more on data exchange layers, we have Benelux countries that provide, as I mentioned before, an achievement in cross-border solutions, and of course, some federal systems provided by Germany, Belgium, that has also been key players in this area. To conclude that, in the recommendations for this part, we wanted to emphasize a bit more on aspects that should be taken into consideration by solutions to come in terms of the strategy for the Interoperable Europe Act. We wanted to basically strengthen this legal interoperability, which seems to not be as high as we have seen in technical or semantic interoperability. Accelerate even further the open source adoption beyond the 60% that I mentioned before, which, as I said, enhances transparency and trust, and enhance a little bit better this governance and transparency, as well as address potential implementation gaps. And another aspect is the multi-country cooperation by default, by design, to promote this aspect even further. Finally, on the part of deliverable 4.4, which was focusing specifically on GovTech solutions, we have obviously seen that this is a key enabler for implementing the Interoperable Europe Act, has a lot of initiatives being put forward on the GovTech aspect, also from the Commission. It's a specific part where we bring startups, innovations together with the government, with the public sector, in order to create some innovative, superior digital government solutions. Here we have followed a similar methodological approach. We have gone through literature and policy review. We have looked into the GovTech solutions provided through desk research from national or regional initiatives, from different GovTech labs. We have seen also the outcomes from the stakeholder consultations conducted within the project, such as the Invest webinars, the different policy sessions that we have performed, collaborations with projects such as GovTech for All, some extended expert interviews, and overall the community engagement in order to receive information. And of course, we have looked deeper into more specific projects associated with the area, such as GovTech Connect, GovTech for All, the different edX that already have been established, the European Digital Innovation Hubs network, the recently formed AI factories, the data spaces for which many countries have now been involved, including Greece. And we have seen some key examples, such as the GovTech Polska from Poland. In Greece, we have the multi-hub ecosystem. We have Elevate Greece with a startup registry that's quite extended, a corporate acceleration between different fintech organizations and the government, as well as the more specialized European Digital Innovation Hub that we have for public services, for health. Then we've seen in the Nordic countries examples from Finland, the X-Road-based exchange that exists there, as well as the Nordic digiGOV lab. In Hungary, we have 5 EDIHs. In Croatia, we have an innovative procurement competence center. In Lithuania, we have GovTech Lab. In Luxembourg, again, similarly, labs that focus more on promoting GovTech solutions in collaboration with startups and SMEs. And of course, last but not least, in Valencia, in Spain, we have the innovation capital with 6 different labs and 10 different pilot programs when it comes to smart city and GovTech. So as you can see, it has been an extensive, let's say, community building and community enhancement when we're talking about these aspects. And Here, as you can see, these are some of these key initiatives that emerged, such as the GovTech Connect and the GovTech for All project, which continues again to promote these initiatives even further. The Europeum EDIC, when we're talking about blockchain infrastructure, the huge network of EDIHs and now AI factories, and so forth. And finally, some strategic recommendations for the Interoperable Europe Act in terms of this is, of course, try to rethink the public procurement element, to try and promote better the scalability of local innovations, because we have seen also local innovations that could be scalable nationwide and cross-border wide. To strengthen a bit more the collaboration and connection between startups and governments, to adopt AI quite responsibly, because there's a heap of AI solutions now, and there is a huge use of this, and this should be used quite responsibly within these solutions. The element of culture is somewhat perhaps needs to be enhanced further. We have a lot of public sector data also that works in silos, and initiatives such as the European Health Data Space and the Data Spaces initiative in principle is going to try and unlock this further. So this is one other important aspect. And of course, perhaps the establishment of a European single GovTech market for providing a unified procurement and solution sharing could be another priority. So the path forward is to try and leverage these regulatory sandboxes for the safe experimentation, and of course promote the interoperability by design that mentioned earlier. These are some other aspects that my colleagues also mentioned already. All these results can be and are provided through our portal. You can see all the information, and of course the deliverables, as mentioned before, can be available upon request through the following functional mailbox. And I would like to thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Charalampos, for this great overview and systematization. So Balázs, you're next. Are you there? Yes, you are.
And I will try to share my screen. And
yeah, it's on now.
Perfect. And I would like to greet everyone. I will talk about the core structure of the implementation plan. My name is Balázs Goldschmidt. I represent the Budapest University of Technology and Economics. And my talk will be about the deliverable 4.5, that's the implementation plan. As we heard from Marta and Lukáš, an engine needs a roadmap, and as we learned from Amalia, we have the roadmap. So what we needed is an actual implementation plan for that roadmap. The D3.1, the roadmap, defines strategic work streams, and these work streams had to be converted into concrete actions so that multi-country projects can be supported, and also that we can make the vision into blueprints that can be evaluated by real-world pilots.
Balázs, sorry, before you continue, yes? We're hearing some background noise. I don't know if it's yours or... seems like a fan or something like that.
The fan might be, yes.
We can still hear you. So it's if you cannot change it off, no worries.
Okay, I perhaps I will not change anything because I just make it worse.
No worries. We can hear you.
Sorry, I will speak up, and then perhaps the system will somehow make it better, optimize on my voice. So the methodological approach we followed was that we had to build on the work streams, and we wanted to add to that the MCP, the multi-country project-based validation logic, so that the work streams, the outcomes, what we do is validated through multi-country pilot results. But these work streams have a lot of overlaps, that have a lot of points where synergies can emerge. So we wanted to consolidate that into 7 work packages. The work packages align the work, the activities in the work streams, so that we don't do the same thing twice or thrice. So we created a blueprint-driven implementation plan. That means that the basic thing, the foundation, is the blueprint. So when we have the blueprint, we know what to do in the future. But to have a sound blueprint, we need still pilot evaluation. So we have pilots in the project, and these pilots will evaluate the soundness of the blueprint, and after that can we continue with the governance integration. The work streams, as Amelia already have shown you, are the European Transborder Information Architecture, the Data Analytics Platform, the Platform for Co-Creation, the Interoperability Regulatory Sandbox, the IDAS regulation topics, secure and interoperable cross-border networks, and the zero-distance public administration. And having these work streams, we created or identified groups among them. So we created a regulatory and architectural aspect group, which we used for the transborder architecture and the interoperable regulatory sandbox. From this group, we can continue to the second one, the trusted digital services, which contains the IDAS regulation topics and the secure and interoperable networks. And finally, we have value-added user experience supporting work streams, the data analytics platform, the platform for co-creation, and the zero-distance public administration. And also we selected multi-country projects that actually build on existing national experiences, and what we need is to leverage and share these experiences among as many member states as we can. So these are the multi-country projects: the National Registry of Administrative Procedures from Greece, the Register of Public Sector Bodies from Luxembourg and Greece, the State Information Architecture from Poland, the mobile aspects of identification in the IDAS project, and also from Hungary, Poland, or Ukraine, the metadata registry from the Netherlands, and finally the Intercom project that builds on the Matrix message handling infrastructure. And we assigned these projects to these groups that I already shown you. The first group contains the State Information Architecture, the National Register of Administrative Procedures, and the Metadata Registry. The second group contains or allocates the mobile aspects of identification, and the final group was assigned the Register of Public Sector Bodies and the Intercom project Matrix. And when we had its work streams aligned like that, we needed to create consistent and consolidated activities that can guide us through the roadmap. So we created work packages that define the run of the project. The first work package is project management. That is, I don't think that it needs much explanation. The second one was the implementation strategy, where we wanted to identify the existing architectures, the gaps, the barriers, the overlaps that we have, and to propose priority sectors and systems where the framework is most urgently needed. And also in this work package, we will identify the functional, non-functional requirements, legal and regulatory constraints, and the member state needs and the multi-country setup. And finally, we will establish in this work package, hopefully, a community of stakeholders for the regulatory sandboxes like regulatory authorities, SMEs, and other bodies From this strategy, we continue on to developing the blueprint. The blueprint is a technical blueprint for each digital infrastructure and service that has plans for security, interoperability, and scalability, and also has blueprints for integration and deployment for each component. And when we have the blueprints, they need some actual real-world evaluation. So we need to produce pilots that will validate the technical, organizational, legal, and financial feasibilities of the solutions proposed in the blueprint through these real-life cross-border pilots. And that will hopefully ensure that the performance, interoperability, usability is tested and supports production-grade deployment. And after these, or beside these work packages, we need supporting work packages, like for the training, where we want to implement a repository for training materials, for best practice tutorials, for guidance documents, and also need to disseminate the results, because without that, the project has no real impact. So what we need is a knowledge transfer, some reuse promotion, and so on, that will result assets and documents that can be used by the EU public administrations, the industrial actors, the SMEs, or the broader Interoperable Europe community. And finally, what we wanted to do in the final work package, or the work package 6, is governance, where we have to address issues of decision-making processes, accountability structures, funding and compliance mechanisms, and so on, so that what we designed in the blueprint and evaluated during the pilot production is really long-term operational and can evolve over time. And after that, we had to mix and match the results from the work streams, from deliverable 3.1 and the work packages that we defined. So in the work streams, we have phases and activities, and also they contain a lot of dependencies. Of course, the in-stream dependencies are mostly sequential, so a stream has to go along a way, but there are a lot of parallel cross-stream dependencies that can be identified and simplified or addressed by the work packages. And the work packages contain tasks that will be executed during implementation, and these define the scope and level for each activity in the work streams. So the result is a roadmap matrix that keeps these dimensions, keeps the work stream and work package dimensions, and include also the multi-country projects, but that define finally a real execution timeline. So what we get from the roadmap matrix is the implementation plan. That is the goal of deliverable 4.5. And this is just a rough overview of what we created. That's the phase level overview of the work streams and the work packages over time. The time you can see on the left side in years, quarters, and months, and the work streams are the columns in this table. And in each work stream, you see the phases. And on the phases color-coded, you see the work package that this phase is supposed to belong to, or at least the most prominent work package they belong to. Some activities might belong to other work packages than shown in color. And to make a simplified version of this table, I created this timeline, which is now from left to right. So you see the years from 1 to 4 and the work packages as they overlap, and show the actual rundown of the project in 4 years. The work packages are flexible enough so that if we only have 3 years or 3.5, then we can rearrange or just redesign the actual runtime for each package. And here you see that the implementation strategy is the very first package. Of course, the project management will go through all the lifetime of the project, but the implementation strategy is the starting point. Then we develop the blueprints. The blueprints are checked and evaluated through the pilot production, and then at the same time we create dissemination, exploitation and reuse artifacts in work package 5, and also create the training materials, the tutorials and so on in work package 4, and the whole project is enveloped into the governance work package that we ensure that the results are really applicable to governance, to industry partners and so on. So thank you for your attention. That was all I wanted to share about this deliverable. And as the others before me told you, we expect your requests or feedback on this Impact EDIC email address. Thank you very much for your attention.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Balázs, and Charalampos also, and all the speakers that spoke before you. So great insights and great presentations. So it's now time to discuss how to translate and to apply all these deliverables that were presented in the development of European interoperable digital services. So our participants are invited to comment on the presentations and to make some questions. We already have some questions that were being written in the chat, and I'll begin with those, but you can write more questions or even ask the floor and make them verbally. So for this open discussion, I'll have my colleague Luís Valente, who is also from the State Technological Reform Agency of Portugal, ARTE. For one of the, I'm taking some of the questions that were written in the chat. Some of them were already replied by the speakers. I would like maybe to tackle the issue of one of the obstacles for interoperability being lack of resources at the local level, and how to improve and to implement interoperability at local level, and how to expect to build it and scale interoperability to the central administration, and then contributing to an European-wide interoperability. The participant that made this question or this comment also added that there's another challenge on this related to closed software. He says that even in 2025, there are some in public administration, there are systems that have no APIs or vendors that simply refuse to open them. So I don't know, maybe Antonis or the colleagues from NESC, do you want to comment on this topic?
Well, perhaps, okay, just a general statement. In the context of the INVEST project, we tried to contact a lot of people from different areas and, of course, from municipalities. Indeed, municipalities is a very crucial, let's say, cell of interoperability in Europe. And this is why in Impact EDIC, we allow municipalities and regions to be members of the EDIC. We already have established a collaboration with the Cityverse EDIC that they are dealing with digital twins, smart cities, and things like that. And we plan to further explore these opportunities. Nevertheless, everything that we have defined as solutions in INVEST can be either used by central governments or regional governments. So I think there is a great opportunity. Of course, there will be special needs when it comes to regional government and municipalities that need to be further discussed. I don't know if Lucas and Marta wants to add something, since you have the most communication with all the stakeholders.
Yes, what was interesting, what was coming out of the interviews with municipalities was that they also use interoperability they understand interoperability a lot as collaboration, and they were quite advanced in this sense. And I loved this example when cities, even from very far away parts of Europe, were kind of grouping together to exactly get themselves more power from against the vendors. Sorry to make it in such a conflicting language, but it's about like if you negotiate the certain conditions with a vendor and you are one small city, you obviously have far less power than if you are an association of, say, 20 cities. Yes. So I loved this example. And I honestly do think that this, open APIs problem and subject, there is a dynamic between the vendor strategy, which is obviously about trying to keep the client as much as possible, and we have to be able to address it. We have to be able to understand what is behind it, and then we have these public procurement mechanisms, yes, which can help us to basically prevent, because we can put into the public procurement that it must have the open API and push the vendors in that sense further. And as I said, this collaboration aspect of interoperability can really help in this push. I don't know if it...
Thank you, Marta. So any more comments on this topic? If not, maybe Louise, you can join.
Hello. Yes, to all. I have some questions here that I'll use from our colleague Anna Roderick that put some questions regarding the legacy systems that can be also a situation that can go faster or slow the interoperability in our national levels or European levels. In our case, in Portugal, we are implementing a transition by implementing API-based solutions for getting more faster transformation from our existing systems, our legacy systems. I don't know how the other member states are doing, but this is our approach. And with this approach, we are continuing interconnected with the initiatives developed by the European Union and also our national level systems. So I also put here the same question to the speakers, how they are using this approach to go from legacy to new systems. I open the question to anyone.
Maybe I will start. Oh, okay.
Yes, please, Martin, please.
I just wanted to elaborate that there was a continuous, phenomena when we were interviewing the experts from different countries. Everyone was mentioning that in terms of even internal state interoperability, countries are on very, very different levels. Yes, and paradoxically, it was seen that the so-called old Europe countries, yes, which are maybe much longer in this, digitalization efforts, they exactly were facing this legacy system problem, which was sometimes slowing down the digitalization efforts, while as the maybe already not so new countries, but still new, like Baltics, for example, they were very dynamic because they were just building simply for already many years, but they were building already from the scratch. And there is also a phenomenon of Ukraine, for example, which was really forced by the war, and to really digitalize its processes to basically survive. So that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you. Antonis, you also have some thoughts on this?
Yeah, I want to say something because I saw a comment from Anna Rosa about small municipalities that don't have the human resource to support cross-border interoperability. I think the main concept here is to create, let's say, organizations that can offer services to more than one legal entity, because this issue is not only related to municipalities, but also to small, let's say, public administration bodies that don't have the capacity to do all this job. And this perhaps could be the answer to contractors that they have legacy systems and they do not cooperate to open them in context of interoperability. And usually when these systems are critical for public administrations, then it's very difficult to handle them. So we need to provide the alternative answer and explain them that a closed system, a system that does not interoperate, it's not really feasible to be sustainable in the future. And I think this is the most important message, and we can provide this message as long as we have services that can, let's say, motivate people and to use it, and people to join with them. So this is a process that really takes time, legacy systems, middlewares, or whatever. But I think this is the only way that gradually we can select our contractors and our having in mind open standards, open activities, and all this stuff. I don't know if this is a satisfying answer for you, Luis and Anna Rosa.
Elaborating on what Antonis said, I wanted to also add that in terms of these local authorities, small local authorities, a lot of experts have emphasized that there is a really big need for more targeted information. So there should be really like these people are the ones who are delivering the services to the citizen, yeah? And they really have less time and a lot of work, yes? So definitely there should be like developed trainings, for example, and very targeted information for them about the interoperability, about the act, about how to engage, and so on via the academia, for example. And the second aspect, what Antonis said, I wanted also to elaborate on this, was this language of speaking to the stakeholders with the language of how to say, of profits, not in a sense of money, but in a sense of what you can win with the interoperability. I remember the interview with the person from Cyprus engaged into the e-health efforts, and we were talking about the act, and suddenly the person had like this eureka moment, and he was saying like, yeah, but look, Cyprus is such a small country, and we don't have, for example, specialists for every sickness. And with this interoperability, we can have the next and next use cases when we kind of help, for example, via the government can connect and they can help our patients to get the proper treatment. So this language, understanding these, needs, and the language of talking in terms of success, yes, can really help to push people towards being engaged into the efforts.
Thank you, Marta. We have more questions in the chat. For instance, Flaminia Fiorentino wants to know, congratulations for the great work in the INVEST project, and she asks, how can we continue the work of the impact the work of Invest and with the impact EDIC going forward. So maybe António, you would want to elaborate a bit on this, António, or any other of the speakers, to explain a bit how all this work that was done by Invest will be used and implemented by Impact.
This is the intention and the vision, of course, to get the legacy from Invest project and proceed further in the implementation part. But of course, we need to all the member states that are members of the EDIC to have a discussion and see the priorities. Although already Ballast presented very clearly the priorities and how we're considering to tackle it. But of course, this need to be confirmed by the Assembly of Members of the Impact EDIC. The idea is to be able to provide services at European level, not at national level, exploit all good examples that are feasible to be implemented by the partners, the members of the EDIC. And I hope that this in the next couple of years will provide tangible results so that anyone can understand in practice what is the value of this effort of the EDIC and the results that we will deliver. Something that is very important, just to mention, is that since we are trying to implement things, and a lot of things are already, I think you saw Haralambos' presentation, a lot of solutions that are available, it's important to avoid double funding and not redo the same work. So it's important to reuse existing things, and especially things that have been labeled either as interoperable Euro solutions or solutions that have some criteria in terms of sustainability, usability, maintenance, and all this stuff. And this is something that is the challenge for the next period for Impact EDIC.
Thank you. One of the things that Marta and Lucas said in their presentation, and I guess they were repeated in other presentations, was that people demand for practicality. They want the tools to build. They don't want more visions or more theory. So we talked about some of the tools that are already available. I don't know, maybe you could detail a bit all the tools that are available, for instance, in the Interoperable Europe portal, because although it's a portal that exists for quite a time, maybe some of the people still don't use it often. Maybe they are not familiarized with the concept of the Interoperable Europe solutions. We already have some of them that have this, or will soon have this seal. So I don't know, maybe the colleagues from NASC want to talk about a bit about this, some concrete tools, or Charalampos, you talked and showcased many solutions that were mapped during the Invest workflows.
Yes, on the Interoperable Europe portal, which I hope everyone already is aware of, there is a collection about the interoperable, about the outsourced solution. There will be also, aside of our EDIC, there will be an EDIC which is specializing in kind of, bringing this digital common solution to the practice. And what we feel and think, and what came out from the expert input was that one of the big aspects of interoperability is interoperability is a service, it's a process, it's not a project in itself, yes? And then if you have a process, you should really think about the financial aspect. And one of these is how much money you can save, yes? And obviously using the reusable solutions, yes, can be a great factor, which were tested, because if we have this seal from the board, this is an interoperable Europe solution, yes? So we know that we are going into something which is, I don't know, cyber-proof, which was tested in some other environment and so on, yes? So it can tremendously reduce the costs of implementations. Thank you.
Thank you. I see Magdalena wants to jump in.
Yes, but this is not directly answer for the question, but about tools, because I also agree with Marta that tools are only a tools. So to people to understand and to believe in this interoperability idea, we have to explain them that in a very simple cases, on a very simple examples. Like, for example, even if we have some very small villages or towns, and maybe people really have, as I saw on the chat, all services are designed for this small community. That's fine, but sometimes when you travel, a lot of people travels, and you have to another country, let's say, show your insurance, health insurance, then you will probably need the interoperability, and people understand, okay, now I see the value of this idea. So I think from my point of view that tools are very important, but the understanding what's the interoperability really is and the value of this, it's more important if you want to convince. I don't know if you agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Speaking with the language of profits and explaining how, it can help the citizen. We seen it clearly, I think, Magda, during the workshops, no, when there was so many, these topic scenarios, but people were not questioning the technology. People were not questioning the interoperability efforts. They were concentrating their thinking on the like, okay, cool, we identified the risk, but then how we can move forward, yeah? Obvious risks, which are connected, for example, to the fear of control, yes?
Yeah, and a lack of trust, which is connected with the fear of control. So without explaining this, then it's really hard to convince to use tools.
Antonis?
Yeah, the clarification, although I believe that most of us can understand it. When we talk about solutions and tools in the context of the Interoperable Europe Act, we don't necessarily discuss about software. And I think this is very crucial for us all to understand and have a common understanding, because practically in some cases, just to remind you that the first labeled solutions from the Interoperable Europe board was core vocabularies and DKTP, that practically specification. And in the context of the impact setting, we say, okay, let's start with an architecture. Because why? Because if we don't have a common understanding, terminology, and all this stuff, we will never be able to identify the gaps, what is missing, what we need to improve, what is existing and fits to our solution, and what is missing that we need to develop. So for me, yes, the answer is to have live services and have software that support these services. But in some cases, some theory, let's say, I don't know if you don't like the word, is needed in order to be able to ensure that our roadmap is on the right way.
Thank you, Antonis. I don't know, as I said, all participants may use this time. You still have about 10 minutes. If you want to write your questions or to ask your questions to our speakers, please feel free, just raise your hand and we will give the floor to you, okay? So you can use this time to speak, not only to listen and to write. Just raise your hand and we'll open the mics. So, Luis, do you have anything else you want to question, to add, comment?
Yes, there's a subject that we have been discussing about the funding of these transformations that every country has to accommodate in their own budget or expecting from budget from European funding. This is also something that we discussed when we have to make some some decision to comply with the new regulamentations, and how do you see that we can overcome our inertia, administrative inertia that exists without the correct funding to integrate new demandings, not only about systems but also new technologies and new cross-border services also?
Well, if you think about the digital transformation, we always think about the cost saving, yeah? But actually the digital transformation is a decision, yes? And it's a decision which is aiming to generate added value. The added value of being able to, for example, make informed decision with the, based on the data, yeah? And so on, yeah? So we kind of have to think about it from that perspective. And I must say, I am personally, it's not an official statement from Invest, but my personal, I'm really fascinated with this idea of EDIC, because EDIC in itself is supposed to generate the profit, yes? So I guess all the edicts at the moment are kind of sorting out how to do it and how it should work and so on. But definitely there is some kind of a shift in thinking from this thinking of being dependent on the funding only towards having this market, market approach, yeah? And parallelly, if we are talking about digital sovereignty and if we are talking about creating a, European common market, yes, this is also very important factor in a sense, yes, which can trigger the extra money and extra businesses out of it. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yes, a little bit, yes. I don't know if anyone has more questions regarding not only the
Well,
findings.
I see Anna Rosa that raised the question, a statement that we have legacy that is not open cross-border interoperability, but provides fully online public services. It is difficult to justify the investment for cross-border interoperability, and there is no so much or none demand. I think this is really an issue. But of course, as the years go by, I think the situation is getting better because the mobility among member states and all this stuff raises. But you're right, we need to prioritize services that have more demand, and we are obliged to do it for the regulations, the European regulations that we are obliged to comply with.
We had a very
Lucas?
interesting discussions. Sorry.
Yes, Lucas, you raise your hand. Lucas and Marta.
Yeah, it's Marta.
Yeah.
We had very interesting discussions with few experts about this, that somehow these efforts towards transborder interoperability, it's like creating the future. It's not really like responding only to the demand which is now, yes? Because currently, if we will look at the data, there is far less request on this, transborder level than on the interstate level, yeah, for the services, yeah. But here we are really with this vision of Europe, which is more united, in which the feel of being working, living in Poland is same as working, living in Portugal, though Portugal has better weather, especially in November, yes. But that's about it. It's about being more together. It's about being more able to collaborate. Yeah, it's about being citizens of Europe, really.
Yeah, but I think we have some good starts on this, Marta, because we have to notice that on some cities which are now on the border, like in Poland, yes, for instance, Poland and Czech Republic, in Czechia. So they have, maybe they have, I'm sure they have some common transport or common medical services. So something already works, you know, on these transborder solutions based on interoperability, right?
Yeah, you took it from my mouth. I was thinking that this like real need is so we are with this vision of the future, and then there are places where there is a real need, like the best example between, for example, the Finland and Estonia about these prescriptions. Yes, so they really, because of the movement on the border, there was really like a need, and it was really easy to justify the investment. Yes.
Yeah.
But somehow the effort for the whole continent is based on the vision.
These examples are just local ones, yes?
Yes.
We can say, anyway.
So we have the vision, we have the strategy, and then we have the steps. Yes. And a lot of experts, I must say, were saying that it's one of the solutions is actually to allow for this organic, or maybe not organic, maybe more organized, but grow where the real need is, yeah, for the services.
Okay, we have some new questions here in the chat. So Claudio Baldassere asks how much can Impact EDIC be a front runner to the Eurostack? Any comments on this?
To be honest, we have not made this analysis, although we have seen many presentations about the Eurostack and the sovereignty and all this. Definitely, creating software by Europeans for Europeans, it's, let's say, a way to cover some parts of it. I'm not sure if Impact EDIC definitely does not focus on all the whole Eurostack, but I think we can provide something at service and software level. I don't know, Claudio, if this is the answer that you expected.
So any more comments from our speakers to this curiosity by Claudio? We are also...
Well, I had a conversation in Semic with Eurostack people, with Francesca, and we're gonna have the meeting hopefully, yeah, to discuss. But I think the Impact EDIC area is, it's like Impact EDIC is here, Eurostack is here, yeah, and they have one of the postulates. We are more into like this strategic level. They are about one aspect of this strategy. Though I love their approach, I must say.
Okay, so we are running out of time for our for this slot for the discussion. So any more questions from the participants? Last call. You can write it or raise your hand to talk and ask your question. If there's no other questions, Antonis, maybe I'll give you the floor again.
Just only one statement. I'm very proud and very honored because the colleagues are almost in the end after 3 tiring hours. There are 72 participants. It seems that the topic is very interesting and we are very happy about that. For us, this is a great milestone because we are almost in the end for Invest project and we are looking for a new start for the Impact EDIC. So I think in order to share a common vision, and of course, any comments that you may have in the Impact EDIC admin digital email or need, of course, we can continue the discussion. And for us, the vision is to make something useful for Europe. So I would like to thank you all for attending this, and of course, all Invest partners or colleagues that have contributed and or colleagues that provided input to this work. Because it's not only Invest partners work, it's a holistic work with many stakeholders.
So thank you, Antonis. So I guess that we reached now the end of our webinar. So if any of the speakers want to give a final comment, if not, we'll close the webinar and
if I may just to clarify, but I
course.
think Stefanos has already clarified, the reason that we have not yet published the deliverables is that they need to be approved by European Commission and from the experts. This is the reason why they are not public, but they will become public very soon. Meanwhile, definitely the presentations of this meeting will be available in the Invest collection the following days. And of course, if a member state wants to have more details about the deliverable, on request, we can provide it, but under the condition that they know this is not the final version. It's the version that we currently have. So it may change somehow in the future.
Okay, Antonis, just to add that the Invest collection that Antonis referred is a collection that is available on the Interoperable Europe portal, and we just put the link to that in the chat, so you can go there and see all the products and made by the Invest project, and also the presentations of this webinar. So thank you all for your efforts, for your collaboration during this year, and also to all the participants for your patience. We are here for about 3 hours now, so thank you all for staying and for all the questions and participation. And have a nice day, and thank you for being here. Goodbye.
Thank you all also.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Goodbye to everyone.